Right, we are fresh on the heels of a Blood and Guts, almost to the cusp of SummerSlam. It's the good, the bad. Well, I guess it's just the good and the bad today. It's me, the Reverend, and my friend and co-host, the Devil's Advocate.
What's up?
What's going on? It's
Any idea where the encyclopedia is?
I thought he was gonna be here. He's usually here. I don't know.
All right,
He's
so
usually
move on.
on here first.
Yeah.
Hey,
Keep the show rolling here. Not everybody wants to wait around.
yeah, let's get into it. There's a lot of stuff going on this week. WWE, AEW, some jobless folks. Where do you want to hit first?
Let's talk about Rikishi. Rikishi's always usually mad about something.
I was hoping you'd say that.
You think what a guy with a butt that big would be happy, but what are you gonna say? So Rikishi this week, and apparently he took it down, right? That's what I've heard from you guys, but he doesn't like the way Jey Uso is being booked. He's got a problem with Jey Uso being involved in this like he's kind of like a side attraction to the Rhea Ripley Judgment Day story. And I've often said I don't understand Jey Uso. I mean, I realize he's over. I don't know why he's over though. I never really understood the push he was getting. He doesn't have a great move set. He's not a great wrestler. But people love that yeet business. And, but they treat him like a main eventer, but they don't push him. Like I would think he would be more upset. And I think he was. I think he said he thought he should have won King of the Ring. And I think I said that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think I said he should have won King of the Ring. I would have thought that would have been a way to push him. If you're not going to have him win the title, at least if he's King of the Ring, it gives up. Wait a minute.
Oh.
Hey.
Hey.
Where you been? What's up, man?
I don't know. I tried to leave work tonight. There was a knife in my tire.
Oh, man.
But I did find this guy named Alex. He let me. I basically hijacked his car, made him sit in the passenger seat, and we drove off.
Have you ever driven in America? Welcome,
I've driven on the left side of the road and the right side of the road, so take that for what it's worth.
And you often drive in the middle as well. We were talking
well, ladies and gentlemen, yes, it is the encyclopedia.
All right, so I might have pounded 2 pints of Blue Moon before I got in the car tonight. Sorry.
Okay, well, all right. We were in the middle of talking about Rikishi.
Yes, and how he likes nothing.
And how he doesn't like the way Jey Uso is been booked.
Okay, in that case, I'll hang up and come back when you're done with that, because.
So he's been complaining. He thinks that him being involved with the Judgment Day and Rhea Ripley is a waste. And I think we also talked about how he thought he should have won the King of the Ring, and I think I said that. I think we were all kind of in agreement at that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
That
I think he also thought that about Money in the Bank.
Yeah, I mean, they call him main event Jey Uso, but he doesn't seem to win any of the big matches. So I don't know where they're not pushing him for whatever reason. So I don't know. What do you think, Encyclopedia? I know you just joined, but you have any thoughts on? Do you think Rikishi's right? You think Jey Uso deserves more of a push? You think it's coming at some point?
I think it's coming. I think this is an attempt towards that, but I didn't think he should necessarily win King of the Ring. I always thought all along it was going to be Gunther, and I wanted it to be Gunther. But Money in the Bank, when they gave it to Drew McIntyre, and we saw how that played out, it tied into the storyline with CM Punk. So I think Money in the Bank would have been the time to really elevate him a little bit. When they started this whole, Jay hinting at an interest in Rhea last week, the first thing I actually thought was, I said to myself, wait a second. The media and wrestling fans can't separate storyline from reality, and this guy's married. Really? Okay. You know what? It's giving him something at least, but I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I think it's a little weird. But then when they were already having Dom and Jay possibly crossing paths, and Dom was ready to have a match with Jay. I was like, okay, we're kind of rushing this along, it seems like, but maybe it's just an attempt to get Jay and Dominic to have a one-on-one at SummerSlam and get them on the card. I don't know.
I mean, I thought it was funny if it would have been a one-off. You know, like he just makes an offhanded comment and Dom gets upset. I didn't realize they were going to turn it into an angle.
I think
He's been pretty consistent about hitting on Rhea Ripley, though. Like, for a while, he's been like, even before Dom had the mustache, Jey Uso was hitting on Rhea Ripley.
I really hadn't even.
I don't know.
I'm gonna be honest. I mean, the woman is definitely got some skills in the ring, and she's a very interesting character. But her as a love interest, I don't get it. I really don't get it. I don't look at.
I don't think love is the L word.
Well,
that,
I get it from a Dom's perspective. Like Dom's like her boy toy. I totally get that part. Like that makes sense.
That's fine.
I don't get anybody else. Like I don't get any other guys really lusting after her. It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I mean, her real life marriage.
Right, but we're not talking reality here. We're talking
right, but it's. I think everybody, for the most part, looks like an odd couple next to her for whatever reason. Real life and fictional. I don't. At least the Rey Mysterio or Dominic Mysterio character. Excuse me. At least, him being Dirty Dom, and at least I could somewhat get it there. But I don't know. I mean, I think Rob, you might have suggested it, and I think we were thinking it that Dominic joining Liv at SummerSlam is a very likely scenario. So Jey Uso being involved, at least that gives Rhea somebody to back her up as that feud continues, because the setup I really think is coming to Finn versus Damian Priest. How many times have we seen Finn kind of going against what Damian's saying behind his back and stuff like that? So I think that's definitely coming. Just another storyline that they're going to use to keep some of these people going after SummerSlam, because it looks like very quickly Judgment Day might be finito.
Yeah. What do you think, Reverend?
I think Rikishi cares about every Fatu not named Trinity.
You think he doesn't like his daughter-in-law?
That's the one whose wedding that he didn't show up for. So I don't know. All I know is he gets mad about Solo's booking. He gets mad about Jay's booking. He was probably mad about Jimmy's booking at some point. He's probably mad whenever Jimmy and Jay didn't have the tag titles. I think he just wants his family to win, which, that's cool. But he gets really mad about it, which to me is a little wild. It's like it ain't that bad. Like, he's still selling lots of merchandise. He's still getting lots of TV time. He gets wins every so often on Raw. It's not like they just job him out to people. He gets mic time, which that's the premium that's understood to be the premium in that industry is mic time. I don't know. I just think it's who cares? Not who cares, but who cares? Come on, Ricky.
Calm down, Rikishi.
Yes, calm down, Ricky. Let it go. So, that's probably why he took the episode down, because he seemed pretty heated about it. But also, not for nothing, if he's so worried about the marital, the sanctity of marriage there. I mean, Dom's married too. Like, they're acting. It's not real.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to pick between Dominic Mysterio and Buddy Murphy, I mean, Jesus.
Yes,
Buddy Murphy takes bigger shits than Dominic Mysterio. Like, come on.
I was gonna say, is there really a winner with either one?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're both Australian. I mean, Rhea and Buddy, they're both Australian, so they
Rhea,
got that.
if you ever seen them on social media, Rhea and Buddy are actually quite cute together.
They are.
She is very much like not her character on TV. She's very girly and like she's very girly around him, and they seem very happy together. And so
Yeah.
I'm happy
I
for them.
mean,
You know,
I think they're all professional enough that they can manage to. I think Jey Uso is professional enough to be able to separate the flirting with Rhea on TV and being married to his wife.
Did anyone tell Rikishi that when an actor and actress are doing a movie together and simulating kissing and having sex, that they may not be together and they might actually be married to other people?
And there's cameras and people directing them.
I think
It's still real to me, damn it.
I think Rikishi thinks the Earth is flat. So, but while we're on that topic, he's also talking about his nephew Journey Fatu.
Sure, let him in.
WWE, and I wrote on our sheet, "Do we need more Samoans?" And I was just curious. It seems like this bloodline thing, they just want to keep making it go bigger. It's like, when are we going to get the second cousin twice removed? When are we going to get the the uncle, nephew, cousin? How far along the bloodline are we going? Like, it's pretty soon it's going to be like, we're getting everybody. We're getting the plumber and the guy who lives 3 doors down.
Bad
I'm not.
Blood 2026 is when you'll see certain superstars start taking ancestry tests, and it'll turn out they're all related.
It turns out if you're not related to Rikishi, you can't wrestle in WWE anymore. So I'll say, let me just say what he said about him. He said Journey can adapt. He's WWE material right now. If they do decide to pick up Journey Fatu, which is Jacob's younger brother, Journey's psychology is through the roof. So A on that. Journey's not a liability. A on that. He's a hard worker. A on that. He has passion about the business. A on that. He's a safe worker. A plus on that. So I mean, I think Rikishi's a fan. I'm guessing that he's making a play. And I'm just curious, where are we fitting all of these Samoans into this thing? Is it just going to be like 50 versus 50? I don't I don't know. I just thought it was funny when I saw that. I'm like, really? We're going to get another one?
Forbidden Door is just going to be their family reunion.
It's going to be the WWS, the Worldwide Samoans Wrestling Association. It's just going to be all Samoans wrestling each other.
Well, we got to build up to Bloodline Wolfpack versus Bloodline Hollywood. I mean, I don't want them to overload it too much. I think maybe one or two more expand the faction. Fine, so be it. But how many more do we need? I've read somewhere actually, Rob. I think you might have seen this on 411 meeting. I think somebody started listing all the Samoans that could join, and they said, "And don't forget Samoa Joe." I'm like, that's the one guy that's not part of the family.
Yeah, well, he's a blood brother, I'm sure. So,
yeah. Oh God, I read somewhere where Nia Jax was talking.
Where's Deuce and Domino?
I thought it was only one of them.
I think it was Deuce.
It was Deuce.
I think. Was it Deuce?
Yeah, it was Superfly.
Where's Deuce? Where's Tamina?
Well, yeah, I was reading how Nia Jax was talking about the family legacy and all, and I was like, you are off on your own separate branch. I still can't figure out how she was a cousin.
Yeah, I'm not sure she is.
Can I say this about Rikishi? One more thing about Rikishi. There's a lot of fun to be made about him going off on these tangents and also never having used a prophylactic in his life. But I think it's important to note.
Oh Lord.
But he's fit. He can still move. He's healthy enough. No, so I'm not gonna size shame him. I'm not gonna fat shame him.
No, you're just gonna sex shame him.
Yes. Yes, as a reverend, that is my responsibility, if
Whereas
not my privilege.
I am a fan of that part of it.
Yes. But I guess, you know what? I can't be too mad at somebody advocating for their kids and their nieces and nephews. Like, he has a platform to do it, and he advocates for them, and that's cool. Like, all everything aside, whether even when it seems ridiculous, I like the fact that he's so high on his family's talent. Cool. There's gonna be Samoans all over. There's gonna be NXT, SmackDown, Raw, Level Up, Speed, and then they'll just introduce a new show, just WWE, Pacific
Samoan Network.
Islands.
So, actually, this popped into my head. Is Rikishi very quickly becoming the new Ric Flair? Putting his kids on a pedestal?
Oh, I thought he was going to say going on an airplane with his junk hanging out.
That was his gimmick.
Everybody's seen his gimmick.
Yeah, but anyway, with Rikishi, like, you know, we've all complained about Ric Flair putting Charlotte on this pedestal, maybe much higher than she should be.
All those Samoans are so big, there's not a lot of room on that pedestal.
It's a strong pedestal, but
more like a platform.
Yeah, I know what you mean, though.
Actually,
about that, like
if you look at the current roster of Samoans on WWE, there's only 2 of them that really look overweight. If you think about it, Roman's fit, the Usos are fit, Tongaloa, Tama
Jacob,
they're toned. So it's really only Jacob Fatu and
Fatu lost a lot of weight. You got to give him a lot of credit for that.
I don't think you realize how like fit he is right now, but because he's wearing baggy stuff all the time too, so you can't really tell. But
all right, so enough on ragging on Rikishi. That could be its own podcast.
We love you, Big Quiche.
Of course.
Don't stink face
Support
us.
your kids.
Yes, support your kids. Parents listening, support your kids.
I wanted to bring up something about we were talking about Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, and I read an article recently that was kind of condemning this angle, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. Basically, it was saying that we're doing like this drama with the 2 women fighting over this guy, and it's really not like the world heavyweight, the ladies' title is kind of in the background. It's not the main focus. And they were kind of condemning it, like, why are women fighting over guys? It's like, it's more like an attitude era type angle, you know? And I was trying to think about it. I was like, well, you know, it's a fair criticism. I mean, you wouldn't have guys doing this, I don't think, right, in this day and age. And, you know, why do they choose to go this way with that? Like, it would be fine if Liv wanted to get her revenge on Rhea for hurting her, but then you bring in this added Dom thing, and like, you know, it's like a you know, teenage drama, right? They're calling each other names and this kind of stuff. So I was wondering what you guys thought about that. Did you feel like it's maybe a callback to the Attitude Angle? Do you like this angle? Do you think it's you know, I don't want to say inappropriate, because it's not inappropriate. It is, you know, on a TV with consenting adults and all that, but like I said, a lot of people feel like it's a step down for the ladies division. So I don't know whatever one of you guys want to comment on that. I'm curious to know your thoughts.
I could go. I mean, I read that. I brought up that theory that this is supposed to be WWE ripping on the whole Janelle Grant lawsuit thing, which seemed far-fetched. But I also questioned, and I guess in the respect that Liv Morgan, you know, during the Attitude Era, she would have been looked at as a slut. But the same thing that got women called sluts back in the day, men would get high-fived for if it was the guy being the, you know, man whore, so to speak. I don't think it does much for women empowerment that Liv's kind of slutting it up right now, per se. But at the same time, if a woman wants to use her sexuality to get ahead, is there really a problem with that? And maybe that's what they're going with, the that whole thing that, if a woman wants to be sexy and use her sexuality to get somewhere, is it any different than some of the stuff guys do to get ahead,
Well, I
So,
think the article's talking about that. They're not fighting over the title. They're fighting over a guy. Like, the title's not the main
oh no,
focus anymore.
no, Liv wanted the title and she wanted Dom to get back at Rhea for injuring her.
Mhm.
Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, right?
Mhm.
So I don't have a problem with the storyline. I'm not that interested in it, but I really don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
I just don't like Liv Morgan.
Yeah, I don't either.
Well, there's
Go ahead,
that.
Go ahead, Jason.
There's that. Well, there's like there's a contingent of people that like Liv Morgan, and I guess that's cool. Whatever. I don't have anything against her. She's not on my top of my list, but okay, whatever. She connects with some folks. Yeah, I think people are like sometimes they can't see the forest for the trees. Like the woman got on TV months ago before the injury angle thing to Rhea, and she got on TV and she said, "I'm going on revenge. I'm taking everything from you, Rhea Ripley. I'm taking your title. I'm taking your boy toy. I'm taking your group." So she took out Rhea Ripley. She then ended up winning the title. Okay, so she hasn't really beat Rhea for the title yet, but she took the title. She started every week taking Dom in a very overt way. Yeah. And that's cool. I don't see that as them fighting over Dom. I see that as her using Dom as a way to get Rhea Ripley pissed off. She used R-Truth and and their friendship and his sentimentality to cost them the tag team
And his
to get
confusion.
herself and his utter state of confusion to cost them the tag team championships to get herself in the good graces of the rest of Judgment Day. That's not a sexual move. That's just her being slick. So I think what's happening is what happens with most stuff on TV. People latch on to one thing and they ignore the rest. I don't think it's the greatest story of a feud between two women's wrestlers or two wrestlers in general, but it's not a terrible feud. And I think a lot of it took place because only one of them was active on the roster at the time. So now that you have them both there, you're gonna see what else they can do to tell that story. And I think Dom is going to be a tool in that story, but he is
Oh,
not
he's a
the
tool, all
object
right.
that they're fighting for. Like, not that tool. He's different tool. But yeah, I think it's a kind of like low hanging fruit to be like, yeah, they're fighting over a boy. No, they're not.
Well, in this with everything going on these days, it's like the article to me felt like they were like, oh, they're above all this, and I'm like, it's entertainment. Relax,
Yeah.
everybody. It's just entertainment.
Do we
It's just a
remember?
storyline.
Do we remember Liv's 2020 storyline when she came back for Lana?
Do you remember when Trish Stratus had to crawl around in the ring like a dog?
Mm.
I do.
Yeah, we all do.
I do.
We do. We all do. Yes.
Not so bad. Okay. The last thing I wanted to bring up, and I just kind of thought of it as we were talking, is anybody surprised, disappointed, upset that Seth Rollins is the guest referee in a Punk McIntyre match? Is he hurt? Can he not wrestle? Why is this not a three-man? Why is this not a three-man match? Does anybody have any thoughts on that, or did anybody read anything? Because I was trying to look things up and I couldn't find anything about it.
No, I don't think it's an injury. It's to save him necessarily from injury. My honest thought is we're going to be reliving SummerSlam '97, and I'm sure you guys probably thought of that possibility. And I think the long term is they don't want to rush Punk versus Rollins too quickly. I think they want to build it up for a long time, kind of like what they've done with Drew and Punk. So I think that's where it's going. Or I think that we're reliving 1997 all over again.
Remind me what 97 is. Is that Bret Hart?
Bret Hart,
Shawn
Undertaker,
Michaels?
Shawn Michaels is referee.
Okay,
Yes.
that's what I thought. I had to think for a minute.
Yeah, my thought is Rollins is going to cost somebody the match. I would guess Punk, but I could easily see it being Drew as well, and he goes off with Drew for a little while.
I mean, we've had so many Rollins Drew matches. I really hope you're right. I hope it's Rollins Punk.
I think they're going to save Rollins Punk for WrestleMania personally, and I think it's going to
that long.
I think so.
Hmm.
If you build, I mean, look, if you build it right, slowly but surely, you could get away with it where maybe they both go off in where they're still crisscrossing, but they both get their opportunities one-on-one with Drew. I don't feel like Drew and Seth really had finished business. How many matches did they have? I thought it was only the one at WrestleMania and then maybe one time on Raw.
I think they had 3, didn't they?
Yeah, I was gonna say I think they had 3.
I think Seth beat him twice, and then Drew finally beat him at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
but
I feel like
that was a battered and beaten Seth Rollins.
Yeah, I just feel like the Raw matches are cannon fodder at this point. I don't feel like people are going to be like, oh, this again. I mean, look, and this is unrelated to this, but man, I keep hearing about on John Cena's retirement tour, hey, let's have him face Randy Orton again. That's one I'm like, how many freaking pay-per-views did that already happen over the last 2 decades? You know? I don't feel like we're necessarily there with Drew and Seth, and they haven't. I feel like Seth needs to get that rematch with Drew at some point, but it doesn't necessarily have to be now. But as far as Seth versus Punk coming out of this, you could have them cross paths at Survivor Series. Maybe they end up on the same team. Maybe they end up on opposite teams. You could have them both in the Royal Rumble and they end up crossing paths there. Maybe they both end up in the Elimination Chamber. Cross paths there. You don't have to have the Seth Rollins versus CM Punk match too soon, is what I'm trying to say. I mean, and not just in those examples there. They could be in tag team matches on pay-per-view against each other and stuff. So they don't. I personally think they should slowly build up that one-on-one. I know Rob for a while used to say Punk was injury prone. I really hope that's not the case because I'm really concerned that SummerSlam, if he gets injured again, I'm gonna be like, man, I want to see this guy go, but enough already with the injuries.
If he gets a major injury again, he really should retire.
It becomes a matter of age at that point.
Let him become a commentator. Let him become commentary. Let him become a trainer or something. But he really can't. His body can't take it. He's not listening.
Hey, you know what? The college football season's starting. I doubt, Mac, if he's going to be on for much longer.
I mean, everybody knows Punk can do commentary. Let him be a commentator.
Yeah.
You know, if he doesn't get hurt, great. Let him keep wrestling. But I mean, he's had one major injury. I mean, he doesn't get like a sprained ankle. He like messes something up. You know, and I think the same way about Adam Copeland. Like another major injury, he should just call it a career. Because your body, you're not listening to your body. You know.
It would have been fine if he just didn't try to jump off the top of a cage at 50.
That's another podcast.
You know, it's funny. We were talking about the Liv and Rhea thing and it ties to the Attitude Era, but this is straight up out of the Attitude Era. Oh, two guys who don't like each other. Oh, there's a third person who doesn't like either one. Let's make him the special guest referee. That's straight out of the Attitude Era, and it's how you're gonna keep it going for however many more months.
I wish they'd bring back a three-way dance. I don't know why nobody uses that.
Yeah.
That brings up a whole different set of, like, would Drew and Seth team up to beat Punk, to try to eliminate Punk? Would Punk and Seth decide that Drew was the biggest challenge and they'd have to double team him? You've got so many different. I don't know. I don't know if it's an ECW stigma that they just don't want to use it, or I don't know. If I was AEW, you want to be different. Stop with these freaking eliminator matches and start having three-way dances. You've got unlimited possibilities at that point. And then the guy who doesn't win, the other guy who doesn't get the pin or isn't involved has a built-in angle like, I didn't get pinned during this match. You know what I mean? And then you can start offshooting with the different matchups. I really don't get it. To me, it was a great concept that for some reason nobody has picked up again since.
I'm just wanting clarification. Are you talking doing three-way dance or triple threat? Because I feel like
No,
you crisscrossed them.
Three-way dance.
Three-way dance
Yeah,
The
but three-way
elimination
dance is
version.
with
okay.
elimination. No, like an elimination match.
Yeah.
Right, but you just said I could say I didn't get pinned. Isn't that more of a triple threat thing then?
Well, yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess.
Oh,
if
yeah,
you,
you
if you
did
bring it
get
up like
pinned.
that,
You got
yeah,
pinned
you're
first.
right.
Oh, yes, then that really removes. Also, that does. Well done, well played. Yes, but that does add an extra level of stakes to the match, though. Because if you get pinned first, you really got no reason to even argue for that title again, or like to
Well, I
even
mean,
butt
that's
your
not
head
necessarily
into that
true. If you
feud.
got pinned first, you could complain that the two guys teamed up on you. And
A little
if it
bitterness.
was a one-on-one match, I could beat this guy.
Ah,
You needed
okay.
help to beat me. So yes,
So,
you do have an alternate angle that you could play off if you
okay.
wanted to. So I mean, bottom line, I don't know why they're not using that.
Yeah,
Nobody uses it, and I don't understand.
it's a good question.
All right, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk a little AEW. So did everybody watch? Um, I would say Rampage. I don't know why Rampage came on. Nobody watches Rampage.
You're thinking
Dynamite.
about the Royal Rampage, the only
Did
Rampage
everybody
episode
watch
I watch every year.
Dynamite? Did everybody watch Dynamite this week?
Yeah.
Yes.
Before we go into that though,
Mm-hmm.
we did actually get feedback on YouTube
Mm.
concerning, and it kind of stemmed off into a couple different directions. I feel like, but it had to do with our discussion about MJF and Will Ospreay last week and being a candidate for an all-time classic match.
Mm-hmm.
So, want to thank one of our listeners. I'm going to butcher his last name, so I apologize. But on YouTube, he's Victor Nascimento, 1548, and he left a lot of comments. First, he said, as far as that match went, he's good match that went long. Maybe MJF wanted to test his recovery with probably the fastest performer on the roster. He then said, what I think was tragically missed is the fact if Dynamite was celebrating episode 250, they really didn't promote that as a milestone. MJF is Dynamite. This is my show, blah, blah, blah. This 250 is because of me and not TK's marks in the back and the one standing in front of me. Fletcher and Ospreay match was better with a fraction of the time. I think most people would debate that one. He also said MJF is great at controlling his matches. The athletic part of the match was great. There was no selling. Big deal, the shoulder out of place. MJF took a Styles clash on the apron and off the top rope. Where's the selling? I really think MJF went really in reverse from what he said before about all that flippy shit. And I do know for a fact he had a problem with the kangaroo kick, which he didn't mention here. Anyway, Mercedes keeps proving to me. So somehow we went to Mercedes Monet. Mercedes keeps proving to me that she is indeed horrible. She's just not very good at anything. She's slightly above average of every category. I'm basing this off of her screen time.
Okay, so this guy obviously the stream of consciousness just continued.
And
Right.
one last thing he said, to me, a poor match. That was a classic. Shawn and Flair retirement match. 5-star in performance, no way. 5-star to be remembered and rewatched, absolutely. And I think that goes into we were talked about the Hollywood Hogan Rock at WrestleMania 18. But yeah, okay. So first off, we want to thank Victor for his feedback.
Yeah, thank you, Victor.
And feel free to continue comments on just about anything we talk about. We do have a countdown coming up in a little bit, so want to hear from some of you on that. But do you guys want to counter anything Victor said? An agreement? Any disagreement?
The one
I
thing
feel like Rob wants to high five him on the Mercedes point.
Well, I mean, the one thing I think is interesting is this week they introduced Camille, who is a former NWA Women's Champion, as her looks like Mercedes' bodyguard. That brings in a different element.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I've said it once, I'll say it again. I don't think she's any good. I think she's a lot of hype. I don't think she's a very good wrestler. She's terrible on the mic. And somehow she snowed everyone into thinking she's great. And I think people are starting to figure that out. I think WWE covered up a lot of her faults. And you're seeing now when they're asking her to run with the ball, she's not really the person that should be running with the ball. So
By the way, if you didn't see it, there was an incident at the San Diego Comic-Con, and the match is now official. Dr. Britt Baker versus Mercedes Moné at All in London.
I love when wrestling merges into Comic-Con stuff. I've always enjoyed that. I enjoyed it when
Yeah.
Punk was back in the day had come back with the title that he ran off with and had the megaphone yelling at Triple H at Comic-Con. I just love those two worlds merging. It's because I love both worlds. But
Yeah,
it's fun to me.
I did watch the clip. What I thought, and I realized it was going to happen. That Tony Khan was on the stage, and Tony Khan ended up announcing the match. But you know how Tony Khan ends up repeating himself. Like, I want to see this fight. Do you want to see this fight? I'm basically, I've had enough of this. We're gonna have this match. We're gonna have a fight, and I'm just like, oh my god!
is cocaine not the
just
greatest
spit
drug
it
in the
out.
world? I ask you, is cocaine not the greatest drug in the world? I'm
Right?
kidding.
It's like simple. Mercedes, I run the company. You don't. You don't get You don't get final say on your matches. You will defend the title at All In against Britt Baker. Done. But no, he can't do that. Somebody get the guy some acting lessons, please.
No, he shouldn't be on TV.
Well, there's
It
that
never
too.
works out. He should just. That's Christopher Daniels. They announced him as the guy. Let him be the guy that makes all the announcements.
Yeah, but Christopher Daniels got the crap kicked out of him on Dynamite. He's got to sell it.
Tony Khan's a goof. He can't help it. Yeah, it's nothing that can be done about it. And it's not saying anything about him as a human being. He's just a goof. It's just how it
I think by
comes
calling him a
across.
goof, you are saying something about him as a human being, and you are a reverend.
No, I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying he's goofy.
Deeply proud of you because my influence grows and grows.
Look,
it's not a judgment. It's an observation.
Oh, okay. Look, I was actually going to help you here, but now I'm not. I don't think this is going to help you. He's a reverend. He's not the end all be all. Reverends, priests, nuns, all of them, they are human. They're not gods. He's only being human.
Jason, do you hear this?
And he does judge.
I just speak for one.
And he does judge.
Yes.
It's your interpretation of what you think God wants you to say.
All I'm saying
doesn't mean you're right.
Is your negativity fills me with joy.
I don't think being a goof is a terrible thing. It's just not right for television.
I don't know, Jason. If your boss walked up to you and said, "Hey, Jason, you're a really good worker, but you're really kind of a goof," I'm not sure you'd be like, "Well, thank you, sir. I really appreciate that."
Depends how much I'm making.
Did he bug the phone on your last one-on-one or something?
I have fingers in many pies. All right, so let's move on. Anybody want to? Anybody? Thank you. You picked up on that, Jason. You're a little late to the game, but again, I'm proud of you. What the hell is the Americans title and the international title? And is Will Ospreay still the international champion? Are they going to have a unification match? I don't understand what's happening here.
No, I think they cleared that up on commentary pretty quickly. Like MJF can't just rename a title. It's still the international title.
Why not? I mean, Chris Jericho has a title that's
a non-sanctioned title. You can call it whatever you want.
He walks around and he defends it on TV. I mean, why can't you? Everybody in AEW has a title.
If he made a title and it's a valid title, then he's got 2 championships right now.
Well, they haven't said it's not valid.
He won the international title.
But nobody's come out and condemned that belt.
I mean, they were all busy mopping up blood to deal with that. Saying,
I'm wondering what you guys think about the American.
I like that promo. I like the entire promo.
I don't know.
I like the promo. I like that he said, for the whole history of this title, you've been cheering for people from somewhere else. How dare you? It was great.
And the flag had all his little instead of stars, it was his face.
That was great.
It was like a step past what JBL would have done back in the day.
I was gonna say that
Which
wasn't the
is hard
worst
to
thing.
do.
That wasn't the worst thing that he did. The worst thing he did was talk about Osprey's grandmother.
Yes,
I was like, damn, bro.
he went
How
in.
did she know she was fat?
Will told him as they were coming up with the game plan. Oh no,
I want
I
to. I
broke
want
the
to be.
fourth wall.
I want to be privy to that conversation. Can I call your grandmother died? Can I use that? Can I call her fat?
I'm gonna call her fat. They'll love it. I'm
Sure,
gonna call
sure,
her.
mate. No problem. I don't know. Okay, so we don't know.
We don't.
Blood and guts.
Blood and guts.
Blood and guts. Liked it, loved it, didn't understand it. Reverend, thoughts on blood and guts?
I have liked the blood and guts matches I've seen. I liked this match. It was a lot though. It was a lot going on. It was fun. It's a fun match to watch. I don't think it should be a TV match. I think it's a pay-per-view event. Blood and Guts should not be a TV episode of Dynamite. It should be a pay-per-view. And the fact that they're doing all this for free TV at least once a year makes zero sense to me. And that's the one thing I can't stand about it. Um, I liked the little sub stories going on. I liked the suitcases with the weapons, with the staple guns. Actually the staple gun spot was weird because that's one of those you got to suspend your disbelief things. While once Swerve got his hands on the staple gun, and they are all kind of waiting around for their turn. It's like in those like old ninja movies where everybody's attacking one at a time and you see them all waiting to attack. You're like, all right,
Like a Bruce Lee movie.
yeah, but it was fun. That Darby Allin is legitimately insane, I think, and I kind of believed he might light that boy on fire, regardless of the outcome of the match. Um, yeah, isn't this the second Blood and Guts in a row that ended with the team giving up?
Well, that's the only way you can win, right? Pinfall or
Pinfall
submission.
submission, or they could surrender. That's what I mean. Surrender. Sorry, not give up, but surrendering. I feel like it's the second one in a row that ended like that, and that was kind of an interesting choice.
Okay.
It was,
So Encyclopedia, what did you think? Well, wait a minute, Reverend, did you like it? Did you not like it? Yes or no?
I liked it. Like I said, my only real problem with it is that it shouldn't be a TV match.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, Encyclopedia, what do you think? I know you just almost finished watching it, like right before the show came on here tonight.
Way to break the fourth wall and kayfabe.
I
Bravo.
broke the fifth wall.
All right.
I jumped right over the fourth one.
Okay.
Pretty sure that's a commandment or something. I gotta look them up.
Oh, I break those too. Go ahead.
Overbooked. It felt too old school ECW to me, and it was overbooked. I mean, Billy Gunn, Jeff Jarrett, did they really? Billy Gunn at least managed the Acclaimed. Why was Jeff Jarrett out there? I don't get that. The level of violence they were trying to do. It was the spots. I was just like, yep, this is a typical Young Bucks. You can't keep it simple. Got to overcomplicate it. So I did not love it at all. I was disappointed. I felt like Dynamite, and AEW in general, had built a lot of momentum the last several weeks, and I just felt like this entire Dynamite episode it took a small step backwards. And I'd be happy to list through the reasons, but right now we're only talking through Blood and Guts, so go ahead.
Okay, overall, I think if you're going to have an overbooked match, Blood and Guts should be the match that is overbooked. Because it's in a double cage, weapons allowed. Go ahead. Hit each other with all kinds of shit. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. That if any match, the problem with AEW is they overbook a lot of other matches too. If this was simply on its own an overbooked match, you wouldn't care. You'd be like, all right, I'll give them this one because every once in a while you got to throw this shit against the wall. But this almost happens almost every other week. We either have blood or something that we don't need. Like they need to rein it in for TV. My other problem is it's blood and guts, and we got a really good opening match, and then we get Jericho and Suzuki, whatever, kind of crappy, but all right, whatever. And then we get Pac and a jobber. And I'm like, why is Pac and a jobber on this show? This should be another good match. And then we get Sheeta and Baker. Again, good match. Baker looked off. She looked like she put on a little weight.
Just to clarify, Sheeta and Baker went on before Pac.
Doesn't matter.
Go ahead.
My point is, good match. Sheeta looks like she put on a little weight, which I think made her a little slower. Baker looked a little off. Her timing, I think, was a little off here and there. They seem like at some important points they were kind of waiting for each other. But again, Britt Baker hasn't wrestled in almost a year, so I give him a break. It was still a good match. What's the matter, Encyclopedia? Look like you want to say something.
No, I was going to let you finish. Go ahead.
Okay.
Didn't realize it had been that long, did you?
Me? No, I knew.
Been that long since she wrestled it? Because
No.
sometimes it hits me like, damn.
All right, fine. I'll say it. I think for 10 months off, actually, I didn't see any ring rust. I didn't see the same stuff.
There was a lot. They were waiting.
I thought there
I
were
think you look for stuff. I really do. I think you're actually a lot harder on women's matches in general. You've always been that.
I totally disagree.
Okay.
It was mentioned in several comments as well. Well, I'm never wrong, but that's besides the point. It was mentioned in several comments as well. If you watch the match, there were certain points where Sheeta was waiting for Baker. You could just see it. There was just certain points where they just were not in sync, and it's okay. I'm not mad. I'm not upset. It was still a really good match. It's just there's ring rust, and it's just the way it is. She just has to get her timing back. Britt Baker is one of my favorite performers in AEW, so I have no problem with that. She has to get. They don't have like they used to. They don't have house shows and places for them to get that ring rust removed, so they have to do it on TV. It's totally fine. I have no problem with it. It was still a good match. I enjoyed it. My other problem is we finally get Swerve and Hangman in Blood and Guts, and they're going at it, and then suddenly they disappear, and they're not seen again. And the commentary makes like an off comment, oh, something happened during commercial, and they're both out. Isn't Swerve one of your biggest guys? Isn't Swerve Hangman one of the selling points of the match? We don't get to see what happened to them. They don't have a camera. They don't have a replay. We get an off comment from Tony Schiavone, I think, or Excalibur. I don't remember who exactly made the comment, but they were like, oh, something happened and they're both out. I don't know. That seemed like a poor decision.
That's why you can't have that match on TV.
Right.
You can't leave stuff up to commercial breaks. You put that on a pay-per-view. Although either way, they could have dedicated a camera to it and followed them around or whatever, and that would have made more sense. I agree that they did need to follow up on that more. But like on pay-per-view, when they start fighting off into the crowd, they can acknowledge it because there's no break. So now it's like, oh, they're going off this way, and you just cut into wherever they are backstage or something. And that's cool. That would be an easy way to fix it.
I mean, it started off hot, right? I mean, Hangman came out and attacked Swerve and was beating him up, and I'm like, cool. We're getting a pretty decent fight here. I'm not so concerned about the other guys. I really want to see these two guys go at it, and all of a sudden they were gone.
I wonder how that played for people there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would have been pissed because, Swerve is one of the guys I would be there to see, and if he just suddenly disappears and it's not acknowledged in the stadium or wherever you're at, right? I'd be like, what happened?
But if you're there, it's not like they suddenly just disappear. If you go to commercial, they just disappear. But if you're there, you see what happened. So it's like, maybe it came off better for the people there, because we've talked about this too. Sometimes some things on AEW play better in person, than they
Mhm.
do on TV, and then vice versa. But I have a feeling there's a lot of stuff, which again, that's why it needs to be its
Yeah, I didn't like the picture-in-picture
honest
stuff
on
either
show.
too with that. So,
And see, I watched a replay, so I didn't get picture in picture.
okay.
But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it was
You
what
watched
it
the
was.
replay as picture in picture.
Hmm?
What do you mean you watched the replay and you didn't get picture in picture?
when I watch on Hulu, if I watch it live, I get the picture in picture. But if I watch the recording, it cuts past it. That's just Hulu's.
So you don't
thing.
see it. You don't see it,
No,
period.
don't
Okay.
see it at all.
Which is actually why and that's honestly why
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
yeah, I thought I had heard that. I just didn't realize you watched Hulu for that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The picture in picture, and I think Rob has said this too.
Some
If
picture.
you're doing it in picture in picture, first off in Canada, they're not getting that, so it's being cut out.
Really?
If you're
I
doing
didn't know
picture,
that either. Huh.
yeah,
So they never got the best of Tony Storm in the beginning. They didn't get any of her antics back then.
I'd have to go back and read the John reports for those episodes because that's a good point. But yeah, I feel like if you're going to picture in picture, it's probably not worth watching. So I usually just jump past that anyway.
Right.
Yeah, I usually fast forward through picture-in-picture for the most part. So, all right.
That's true.
So,
So I'm sensing 2 thumbs down from the encyclopedia. You look like you're kind of like this, devil's advocate, or 1 thumb down,
no,
one.
I thought it was fine. It had, but
It's
like,
okay.
I think our points are valid. I think you needed to have a couple of better matches.
Mhm.
I think you needed to have Swerve, and yeah, I needed to have a finish of whatever Swerve and Page were doing. I didn't really think the Jericho match was also great. I think they were trying to copy the. They kept mentioning a match from Japan,
The
and I'm like,
chops, the one with the
right, and I'm
chops,
like, who
yeah.
knows that? That's like now we're getting really obscure.
I mean, it's a niche one, and I would assume that fan base would know it, but also leads to, I think it's something you said a couple of weeks ago, how blood plays into the can, like, too much blood can really minimize it when it's supposed to matter. Now, Jericho bled because he got the hell chopped out of him. It wasn't like a spot. He just happened to then end up bleeding all over the place. But you already saw someone bleeding all over the place for an M match. I was like, well, I've seen folks bleed. They did come up with new ways to make people bleed in that main event, but still, it's like, yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot this week.
Yeah, the other thing that's concerning, I was thinking about while you were talking too, is All In is what, a month away.
Yes.
So all these matches seem like we'd be ready for All In now, and now we got to wait another month.
A month.
So we got to watch Mariah May and Toni Storm dance around each other for the next 3 weeks. We got
Good
to
for
watch.
Britt Baker though, because she'll have that time to get on
Right,
her A game.
but my
But
point is, like,
yeah,
you strike while the iron's hot, and 3
yeah,
weeks from now you're playing and be like, all right, whatever.
yeah. That
Like
Tony
they seem
Storm
like they
Mariah
peaked
May
too
thing,
soon, right? It's peaked too soon, and now
you're gonna forget by the
right,
time it comes up.
it's not gonna. You're gonna be sick of it, but in 3 weeks from now, you're gonna be like, I wish they'd fight already.
Hmm.
You know.
That's fair.
So I think they didn't plan this out well at all, and now we're gonna have these next 3 weeks are gonna be kind of holding spots. I don't know, like, we have a contract signing or some I hate that stuff. I realize they're placeholders, but I can't stand them
Face
because we all
off.
know it's just going to be shenanigans. Nobody ever just signs a contract and walks away, right? So I don't know. I just feel like I'm like when they were like, it's the end of August. I'm like, end of August? Why is it next week? Your matches should be happening already. Toni Storm, Mariah May turned on Toni Storm. Let's get them two in the ring. Let's go. I don't want to wait 3 weeks, 4 weeks. All we're going to do is get promos now. So I don't know. All right. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. It's just I thought it was funny. Usually by the time we hit we're ready for SummerSlam, right? I mean, SummerSlam next week, you'll get your final promos and stuff, and you're like, I'm ready now. I'm ready to hit. I'm ready for AEW now. I want to see All In now. I don't want to wait a month.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of dead time, you know? How many more yelling MJF promos are we going to have to listen to? You know what I mean? Let's go. Let's move it along.
Gotta admit, he's good at the yelling.
I'm just saying, 3 weeks of this? Is it Will Ospreay's aunt twice removed next week that he's going to make fun of? I don't know. All right.
Well,
yes.
yeah, because I didn't really get into Dynamite. Yeah, the Chop Fest for the Jericho Suzuki match. It was another one that I was like, oh, it's like these guys think they're being so smart and clever, but it was like it went for 10 minutes of chops, nothing else, and I was like, where's this going? Like, why? And the 2 jobber matches on the card.
I didn't mind the Mariah May one. That made sense in terms of furthering the story, but also it made me think that All In was coming up in a week, or like later this weekend or something, because it's Mariah May winning easily, and then Toni Storm starts to finally get her hands on her. That's cool.
And and then we're having another Willow. What's her name match?
I guess that feud's
and
gonna
it's an
go on for a
eliminator.
while.
It's not even a title match. It's an eliminator match for the CMLL title.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, why isn't she getting a title shot?
It's hard to have a heated feud and then demand an eliminator match.
Jason, I'm gonna fight you next week, and if I beat you, I'm gonna fight you again the following week. What?
I'm gonna take everything you got. Next week,
again,
you're gonna give me a chance to take everything you got, so I can come back and take everything you got.
Yeah, I don't know. I hate eliminator matches. They're so stupid. All right.
Yeah.
Before we go to our top 5 list, I just wanted to throw out a couple of names. I know that we've got Bobby Lashley is apparently becoming a free agent. MVP also becoming a free agent. I wonder where Omos is.
Almost.
He's just like sitting in the back and catering, waiting for somebody to call his name.
So this is that whole thing about WWE existing on TV and then WWE existing on the road. He's been on the road doing live events, but he hasn't been on TV in forever.
Right. So do we think Bobby Lashley ends up in AEW? Do we think Bobby Lashley goes to TNA? Do we think Bobby Lashley goes back to MMA?
I don't think he goes back to MMA. He's knocking on 50, isn't he? He's not going to go back to MMA.
Well, let's ask our resident MMA expert. Yeah, that's you.
No, he doesn't go back to MMA. Oh, did you want more than that?
No, it's okay.
I don't see Tony Khan signing him.
No, you don't think
AEW.
So? I honestly think if he wants to continue wrestling, I think his best bet would be New Japan. He'll be a spectacle there. I don't think TNA needs to sign any more WWE cast-offs either, But I feel like Tony Khan goes for a certain type of wrestler. And it's usually basically the ones that had some sort of cult following at some point. I don't feel like Bobby Lashley's that guy.
Yeah, I was thinking he really doesn't fit in.
Yeah.
But then that's never stopped him before. I mean, the guy's a baseball card collector. I can have Bobby Lashley in my deck. I might never use him, right? I've got Miro in my back pocket. I never use him. I've got lots of guys that I'm in my deck. I don't ever pick their card.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope he doesn't. I mean, I don't really. I was never been a fan of him. I don't know. He's got the look.
Yeah.
But he good guy or bad guy, he never seems to do anything. He's like kind of vanilla.
No charisma.
Character-wise. Yeah, he's got no charisma.
Bobby Lashley?
Yeah.
His best run as a heel was when nobody was in the arena. It was Hurt Business. That was his best run as a heel.
Yeah, but he also had a mic piece for that.
MVP, he had MVP there, which I guess he could have MVP again.
I thought it was and Jason, I'm going to apologize if I'm wrong here. I thought it was you that said that Bobby Lashley's best work was when he was in TNA.
I do remember some of his work from then. He
Uh-huh.
was very good. Yeah, I think he did get to do more character stuff, like have much more character while he was there. But I think, yeah, maybe his best stuff in front of a crowd was in TNA. I think his best stuff overall was just during the wrong era. But yeah, we never really saw. I think we were starting to see it come out, his personality come up when he paired up with the Street Profits, but then he got injured too many times. It's, I don't know, the curse of age.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be curious to see where he ends up. I'm surprised they didn't make a play to keep him. So I guess maybe they know something we don't. Maybe he's not looking to resign. Maybe he's going to walk away for a little while.
Could be.
All right. So the encyclopedia, Blackbeard himself, suggested a top 5 list. So I'm going to let him introduce his top 5 and let him lead us off.
Thank you for letting me. It was so nice
You're
of you to let me.
I'm magnanimous like that.
All right, so we haven't done a top 5 list in a while, and wanted to bring that back. I think that's one of the more fun things, not just for us to give our top 5 lists on different topics and areas, but also we do want to hear from you guys. So comment below. Jason is the part where you point below with me. And
that doesn't seem right. There we go.
Well, I'm down.
Yeah, at least we didn't go like that, Oh shit, I just did it.
No.
So I wanted to limit this to a time frame. So I was thinking a few weeks ago about those finishers that really, stand out, but not all time. I wanted to go current. So this is our top 5 list of finishers in 2024 specifically. I want each of you to say what your criteria was for why you made each pick on your list or why you made your overall list, and we could lead off with that if you like. First off, let's start with the good Reverend. For your top 5 list, what was your criteria?
All right. I actually gave myself a very specific limiter because it was hard to narrow some down. So I have a theme. I have only chosen women's wrestlers in 2024. And basically, my main thing was, what's the impact of the move? Second was it innovative? Third was, how many people could you reasonably hit this on? Those were my main criteria. And then the overall is, of course, wow factor. So I had one honorable mention because I've only seen it once and I just saw it a couple of weeks ago, and I thought it might have been the reason you would have asked this question when you did. So my honorable mention, just so you know it, was Tatum Paxley's move called the Psycho Trap, which I saw her unleash in NXT. I'd never seen her have a full match in NXT. And it is a really interesting move, a very quick move that goes into a pin, but it has a huge impact. I just don't know if she could hit it on anybody. So that's why it's honorable mention. But it's a really cool move. And Rob, if you haven't seen it, I'll give you a link to it. It's when you see it, it's like, oh, that's an interesting move. I wouldn't have expected it. For my number 5, I have Sol Ruka's Soul Snatcher. It's a very impractical one, how she sets it up, but it looks so cool, and it's a cutter. So if I'm not going with the guys, I'm not gonna have an RKO in there, but I'm gonna get an RKO in there.
All right. My number 5 is Damian Priest, South of Heaven Chokeslam. I think he took a regular move like choke slam and kind of gave it a little bit of a razor's edge type spin on it. So it's a little more than a choke slam, and you know, I think the fact that he pinned Strowman with it was a pretty big determining factor for me. So South of Heaven choke slam is my number 5.
And what was your criteria for your top 5?
I don't, you know, I had a hard time with this list because I kept, and I have to admit my RKO is on this list because I still think it's relevant this year. Randy Orton still comes out of nowhere and always impressed when he pulls it off, especially a man of his age. But I had a hard time with this because a lot of I had to do a lot more research than I thought I'd have to because I didn't really know what I was looking for. You know, a lot of guys use a lot of variations on themes. So I just went with I think effectiveness, what I thought was most effective. I guess that's my main criteria.
All right. No, that's great. Nice criteria by both of you. Although, Jason, I feel like you took away another possible top 5 list from us by sticking with just the women. But yeah, so for me, my top 5 is a list of moves that I feel like coincides with what a lot you guys said, makes an impact, is truly a finisher. Very rarely people kick out of it. It's got that wow factor where you know, the crowd reacts to it, or you're at home like, ooh, you know, reacting in that way. Um, those were my main criterias, which actually helped me eliminate a lot of things. In the process, I did not end up with any submission moves on my list, which kind of surprised me because I usually prefer the realistic ground-based wrestling and the submissions and what have you. Um, I started off my process by coming up with all the moves that I really like in today's wrestling scene, and I had almost 20. So then narrowing it down to 5 was quite a chore, but I did do it. Um, and just to throw out the moves that didn't make the list, Braun Breaker Spear got my honorable mention. The Torpedo Mosca and the H Bomb from Ilya Dragunov. For whatever reason, I love the move. The I'm Prettier, not the Unprettier, but the I'm Prettier from Chelsea Green. Nothing But Net from Carmelo Hayes. The Wing Clipper. I don't know why I loved the Wing Clipper, but I just feel like it really has an impact when Hector Garza hits that. RKO didn't make the list. I did heavily consider that one. Kinshasa. I love that move. I think that makes an impact, knocks people out. Didn't make the list. The trick shot, which at first I thought was sloppy, but he's really brought it into his own now, the way he's doing it. I think that just the jump up and hitting it now is way better than the running off the ropes. Didn't make the list. Black Mass. That kick's knocked people out left and right. You haven't really seen anyone kick out of it.
Has he
Two
wrestled
submission.
this year?
Yeah, on Collision.
Okay.
2 submission holds that were on my honorable mention but didn't make the top 5 was the Lockjaw and the Salt of the Earth. And then the Heat Seeker from MJF did not make my list. So my number 5 is the finisher of a current champion in the WWE side. And it was a move that ended a legendary streak. And it's Sami Zayn's Haluva Kick. Which also kind of gives a slight nod to Dakota Kick's running kick. I don't even know what she calls it nowadays. I just remember it used to be called, I think, the Kick Party when she was in NXT and she was still the happy-go-lucky. But for a move to end the 666-day record intercontinental title reign of Gunther, you know, I remember when he hit that move at WrestleMania, I thought, all right, he's going to kick out, he's going to keep going, and he didn't. So that's one thing I got to give WWE over AEW more so. The finisher still means something, and that one does. All right, Jason, the Reverend, give us your holy finisher number 4.
Holy finisher number 4. So this was somebody I knew from Impact TNA and then made the debut over into NXT. and it's Jordan Grace's Grace Driver. It's just, I think it works when she does it, just because she's so strong. Like she's just like a ridiculously built human being, and it looks like she can hit that basically on anybody, and it's quick and boom. So yeah, number 4 is the Grace Driver, Jordan Grace.
All right, my number 4 is the Swerve Stomp. I just like that move. I think it's kind of takes the Finn Balor move and kind of takes it to the next level, where Finn Balor jumps on your stomach, Swerve steps on your face. So I like it.
He makes that look good. Like
Yeah.
stomps are really hard to pull off, I think, and make them look convincing. And yeah, that's a good choice.
Give the
Alright,
devil too.
yeah. So my number 4, apparently I got this thing with finishers using feet for some of these. It's actually a guy whose career is rapidly coming to an end, at least his full-time career, and it's the Busaiku knee of Bryan Danielson. And I know, I'm sure in AEW it's been kicked out of, but the impact of that move usually, and the crowd usually goes nuts for it. That's why it's my number 4. We'll see if it leads to his first and probably only AEW title reign in about a month. TBD.
A good one. That's a really good one. My number 3 made it onto my list only because I saw it in person earlier this year when I was at that TJPW show in Tokyo. That's the only reason it made it onto my list. I would never known about it otherwise. Masha Slamovich has a single underhook package pile driver. I think it's called the White Knight driver. And it's just a very vicious.
Didn't Kevin Owens
pile
used to
driver.
do that?
He has one like that. The difference is, I think his might have been double. Because a lot of people do the double underhook. But hers, it's like a weird thing. It's just single. She hooks one arm and then she just scoops. Boom. And I wouldn't want to fight her.
All right.
Yeah, it's a really cool move.
My number 3 is Will Ospreay's Stormbreaker. I just think looks devastating. And I love, in the anticipation of him getting ready to deliver it, that you can feel the crowd just starts to rise. So I like his move sets. I think he's a pretty amazing athlete. I just hope, my one hope for him is I hope he's not overexposed in AEW, because I know I've seen him wrestle in Japan and I always thought it was like kind of an experience when he wrestled, but week to week, I'm hoping he doesn't get overexposed. But that's a story for another day. I picked Stormbreaker number 3.
All right. So mine is a finisher that led him into a world heavyweight championship, and it's a move that could be hit off the ropes. It's a move that could be hit from a standing position, and quite frankly, it's kind of innovative, as simple as it is. And it's the Claymore kick of Drew McIntyre. It's another one that when you see it hit, the crowd and you at home are like, ooh. I think he's really perfected that move. I mean, it was a simple move that he did every once in a while, and he really turned it into one of the most formidable finishers in wrestling right now. So that's my number 3.
Anytime I think of the Claymore, I always think of that Royal Rumble when he kicked Brock Lesnar out, and Lesnar went head over heels out of the ring. But it was just, yeah. Agreed. We're up to number 2. My number 2 only works because of the person who does it. and she's the only person who can pull off this move and has pulled it off to everybody in the women's division in WWE. And it's the KOD from Bianca Belair. And I consider it one because she's pulled it off on Nia Jax. She's pulled it off on Piper Niven. And people shouldn't be able to pull that move off on anyone else. So I know we've talked about Bianca Belair a lot, and she'll get those Cena comparisons a lot of the time. Also, he's like the one person who could pull off that attitude adjustment on anybody. She's the one person who can pull off the KOD on anybody. So when she does it, it looks special. So yeah, she's my number 2.
Okay. My number 2 only has 3 letters. It's the RKO. And I realize it doesn't necessarily fit the criteria, but to me, it's timeless. And other people use the cutter, but nobody like Randy Orton. And it's even the anticipation of it coming, people start to get crazy. And even when he doesn't hit it, like as soon as he gets that arm up and you're like, here it comes. And then he doesn't get him, and you're like, well, he'll get him. It's just a matter of time. And they always seem to book that move where it comes out, like it says, comes out of nowhere. Right? You're like, he can't get the guy off the top rope, and he gets him. We can't get the guy, coming off the ropes, so he gets him. I still love it. All these years later, it's one of my favorite moves. I know there's YouTube videos dedicated to just him delivering the RKO at different angles, at different spots. The one where he threw Seth Rollins in the air and caught him. I just love it. So that's going to stay on my list. It'll be always on one of my favorite moves list, but it's on this one too. So RKO number 2.
You forgot the Evan Bourne forward flip.
Oh yeah, well I'm not going to name them all. There's a million of them. I mean, like I said, go on YouTube and put an RKO. There's a video somebody put together, and Tim just delivering RKOs to different people at different times.
Oh.
And he commits.
This
he
year,
does the whole body thing.
Catching McDonough off the top of the cell, or off the top of the War Games cage.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, imagine the timing it takes to make sure you catch a guy and make it look like he delivered the move. So, RKO.
Do you mind me asking you a question?
I would love for you to ask me a question.
Okay. Why didn't you feel like it met your criteria?
Well, because you were saying for 2024, so I was thinking more like newer moves.
It's an active move in 2024.
It's active in 2020.
I agree.
Fits.
I know it is. But
I think you met the criteria.
I was trying to think more of more recent moves. Like, you're not going to pick like the figure 4 leg lock. You know what I mean? Figure 4 leg lock.
True, but if there was someone this year wrestling who knew how to put that move on so well,
or had a different spin on it.
You mean the Miz doesn't count?
Sorry.
Well, because I mean, when you said the best moves of 2024, I was trying to think more of
but
recent.
It's still 2024. It's the move that's being done actively. So
I'm trying to explain to you what I was thinking, because I might have picked a couple of different moves if I didn't follow this criteria. But I was trying to pick more newer moves.
Gotcha.
Than like my number 1 is a new move. And when it's my turn, I'll tell you what it is. But it's a move I hadn't seen before. And honestly, I really only watch AEW and Raw and SmackDown. The NXT people I know are always coming up with newer stuff. I just haven't seen a lot of it. So my list is kind of what I see. And
that's fair.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I think you met the criteria. I don't think you should.
You think you did, but you did.
But I was trying to be more. Trying not to go, RKO and figure 4 leg lock and abdominal stretch, and, stuff like that.
Abdominal stretch.
Arm bar. I was trying to think of some moves I hadn't seen before, or some moves that like the Damian Priest choke slam. It's got a new spin on it. So to me, it's not just a choke slam.
Sit out choke slam is a very different idea.
Or you could say power bomb, but the Undertaker's power bomb is a lot different than Gunther's power bomb, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Kevin Nash's power bomb and KO's.
Right. Yeah. Right, because they all do it a little differently, right? They all put their own spin on it. So I was trying to pick some moves that are not, Everybody does.
Okay.
But the RKO to me is timeless. It's just great.
It is.
So, okay.
Okay.
Number 2.
My number 2 is done by a very large man and involves some aerial prowess to do it. Hasn't landed this person a championship on the main roster yet, but did get this person an NXT North American Championship, and it's the Tsunami. The
How do you read my
impact,
mind?
yeah, that impact when he hits the mat and the whole thing just shakes. And I do miss hearing Wade Barrett or Corey Graves going "Tsunami" as he's hitting it. But that might be a blessing in disguise now on Raw, because if Pat McAfee did it, I think Rob would throw something through his TV set. So Rob's happy to hear.
I want to throw Pat McAfee through a TV.
Rob's hoping that the
I
College
mean,
Game
he's a big
Day
dude.
return of Pat McAfee means he'll be leaving WWE yet again.
I hate panderers. I really do. You're
I
a
think he's fun. Hey,
I
next
like
week,
him.
top 5 color commentators of 2024. I know who won't be on
my list.
Rob's
He will not
list.
be on my list. Go ahead, Jason. Number 1.
My number one of my top 5 women's finishers in wrestling. Again, this is all women. Love the ladies. I'm here for them
Rob,
tonight.
this is your influence. He broke the rules.
I know. I said I'm proud of him.
Hey, I had to narrow it down. Number 1, depending on when you ask me for this list, it would have been at a lower spot, but every time I see it, I regard it that much higher, because I still can't believe how she pulls this off to such precision. Much like the Tsunami, does not miss with it. To WWE's very own newest Miss Money in the Bank, Tiffany Stratton, has the prettiest moonsault ever. I still can't believe she pulls that off with the triple jump every time and has not missed. And I'm beginning to think there's only a few people.
Now you did it.
I know, right?
I was gonna say she
Not really.
She didn't hit it square a few times in NXT, but we did say 2024. So go.
In 2024, since her call up, she's been on point. And I think a while back you were bigger on Tiffany Stratton than I was. I didn't think she had it all together like that. I thought she had her character together. Huh?
Oh.
I thought she had her character down. I didn't think she had all of it together in the ring. When she goes for that finisher, it is on point. And I look forward to seeing her hit that for a championship at some point within the next year, because it is amazing. So yeah, it's my number 1.
My number 1 also involves women, because I like 2 women at once.
High five, sexy time.
This move actually doesn't have a name, because I did try to look it up, and it doesn't have a name. It is executed by Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler. It's that move where they throw the girl up and then Shayna hits her with the knee, and holy shit, it looks devastating. And the potential for injury is high, and that's why I think I like it. I don't particularly think those two are booked well. I think they should be booked as definite contenders to when what's the girl you just
Isla
named?
and Alba.
No, not them.
Isla Dawn and
Alba
No,
Fire.
not them. When oh my god, why can't I remember the names? The girl you just named, who does the KOD.
Oh, Bianca and Jade
Yeah.
Jade. Yeah.
I would have thought there was
senior moment right there.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, it is almost 5:00 in the morning here, so that to me would have been could still be a very good feud, because you have power versus technical, and I don't think they built on that at all. But all right, I'm progressing a little bit here. That move is, to me, is just devastating. And I actually went down to YouTube to try to find out what the name was, and got to watch it again, and got to watch it in slow motion, and it looks great. it looks like a great move. So I picked that. Like I said, it doesn't have a name
It's
because that's
good.
what I was looking for. I was trying to find out what they're naming it. They haven't named it yet, but it's the Zoe Stark, Shayna, flip to knee, whatever you want to call it. It's their finisher, and it looks devastating. So that's why I picked it as number 1.
That is a great choice. I love some tag team finishers. So
I'm going to take the blame on this. I should have made the criteria clear. I was looking for singles finishers.
All right. Well, you did not say that. So
there goes the tag team finisher idea. Well, it could be on both lists.
I was gonna say.
We'll say this is top 5 all-time finishers of 2024. There, we're done. Okay. So my number 1 is for a gentleman who is worldwide renowned, currently in AEW. So yes, an AEW wrestler made my number 1. Can you believe that?
No.
The move, the impact of the move, and the precision, this guy makes it look, it just looks devastating. And he's won championship with it, and that's the Hidden Blade. Just the way Will Ospreay runs at him, and just it's like blinking, you'll miss it, and it just looks so devastating when he hits it. I feel like if there's a finisher that needs to be protected above all others right now, it's that one. It's like when Daniel Bryan brought out the knee plus all those years ago against John Cena, or the Psycho knee. I feel like the Hidden Blade, that's this generation's version of that. And I'm actually surprised it didn't make either one of your lists, to be honest with you. I'm really surprised.
Well, I mean, I picked the other move. I had a
just
choice
picked the
between the
ladies.
two, and I picked the other one. But I could have easily picked that one too.
Osprey's kind of like AJ Styles with that ability. Like, you could pick any move of theirs, and you're not wrong. Yeah, and that Hidden Blade is pretty vicious. That one he hit on MJF though, that was maybe also because of the angle that they shot it at. But
to me, AEW knows how to do some good camera shots. That's why I couldn't figure out why we didn't get Swerve, and you know what I mean. Like, they totally blew it to me. So, right.
They've had a history of doing that. Not so much recently, but they've missed stuff before. The other thing that I wish they would do more of is replays. They very rarely replay. There's so many times I got to rewind like 2 minutes because I didn't see the end of a match. And at least with WWE, I'm like, all right, they're going to show it, so I don't need to rewind. AEW never does it. It's like, we got to make sure you're watching every minute of it.
Yeah. Okay.
So we hope. Oh, go ahead.
Do you know the origin of why Shinsuke Nakamura called it the Kinshasa? So it's a connection. The move before he came to WWE was called the Bomaye, which, if you know anything about the, I think it was the Ali Foreman fight back in the day, the Rumble in the Jungle. That's what they were chanting, Ali Bomaye, Ali Bomaye. He had a very big thing about Muhammad Ali, and also Antonio Inoki, but mainly about Muhammad Ali. And so when they renamed it, I believe Kinshasa, and I may be mistaken here, I believe Kinshasa was where they had their face-off before that actual fight. So it's connected to that fight as well. So when they renamed it for WWE purposes, that's why he chose it. So it was just a guy who really loved Muhammad Ali.
Do you know Shinsuke Nakamura has the most losses on the main roster this year?
Which is interesting because he hasn't been on that much.
I saw an article, and he has 43 losses this year.
Wow. 43?
Yeah.
So that counts house shows then.
Yeah, I mean
10 more than the next person, and I cannot remember who the next person is, but I would have thought it would have been like Tozawa would have been higher, or nope, Tozawa's like low on the list, but he's lower.
It's more than Natalya.
Yeah, it's Nakamura. I'll leave you with that.
Free Shinsuke.
All right. And we're going to leave you all for another week. We thank you once again for catching another wonderful episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Encyclopedia, part of the Sports Frenzy Podcast Network. So look for Sports Frenzy Podcast on Instagram and on Facebook, Sports Frenzy Pod on Twitter. Check out our brother show, OTBS, and don't forget our friends at Another Wrestling Podcast. We thank you all for listening, and we will catch you again next week with our SummerSlam picks. And as Rob said, without so many words, rock on! I don't know.